Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully, today is not your day that you have to set out your carts. It looks a little wet outside, but we are out there every day, Monday through Friday, uh, picking up carts. So thank you for taking your lunchtime to join us today to learn more about what goes in your curbside carts. Nellie and I also do a backyard composting webinar throughout the year. And um, one of the suggestions that we received was that folks would like to learn, uh, get some information on what goes in the curbside cart. So we put this presentation together. I'm sure everyone knows our department. Maybe you've been out to the North Area Recovery Station or Kiefer landfill, but the county's Department of Waste Management and Recycling owns those facilities. There are drop-off facilities at each of those locations for household hazardous waste. We provide curbside collection service for garbage, recycling, and 2 years ago, organics was added to the curbside service. We also pick up used oil, used motor oil, used cooking oil, and used oil filters on your regular garbage day. And we provide the bulky waste pickup service. This is an appointment-based service that you schedule. We service about 160,000 single-family duplex homes in the unincorporated county. Each year in June, we mail out a comprehensive service guide that includes your collection calendar. This is a picture of the one that we mailed this past June. These are some of our curbside customers that helped us out. So if you did not receive this, please let us know. Send us an email, give us a call, and we will get one in the mail to you. You can also find this information on our website, SacGreenTeam.com. So many of you have heard of SB 1383. That requires Californians to divert organic material from landfills so that it can be used for more beneficial uses. Organics include, of course, food scraps, food soil paper, and yard trimmings. So up until 2 years ago, we were putting food scraps and food soil paper in the garbage. Now we put it in with what was the green waste cart that became your organics cart. So beneficial uses include compost, animal feed, and biogas. Um, and just real quickly here, AB 939 was passed many years ago that required jurisdictions to divert 50% of waste from landfill disposal in 19 by the year 2000. So the county is at about, I think, about 69%. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about organics collection. Many of you have a new organics cart. If not, it's your old green waste cart. So this cart is serviced weekly along with your garbage cart. Um, it's used to collect food scraps, food soil paper, and yard trimmings. Some of the carts have a sticker on the lid that includes this information. Other carts are stamped and includes the text of this information, not the graphics. But food scraps include uneaten or spoiled food, fruit and vegetable peelings, meat scraps, including bones, either raw or cooked, and cheese, eggshells, then food soil paper includes used paper napkins, paper towels, a greasy pizza box, any paper plates that are not coated. Any coated paper would have like a shiny appearance to it on the inside. Those still go in the garbage, but if it's just regular paper that's food soiled, please put that in the organics cart. We also accept things like coffee grounds and paper coffee filters, paper tea bags. Those are all fine for the organics cart. Yard trimmings includes grass, clippings, leaves, lots of leaves this time of year. Any prunings from shrubs or trees that are 4 inches in diameter or less, and cut to fit so that the cart lid closes when it's serviced. And any other clean wood scraps. Clean wood scraps would not be painted, they would not be stained or oiled, or treated wood is not accepted. Shredded paper is also okay to put in the organics cart. You can put it in a paper bag or in a compostable bag. It just helps it so that when the cart is emptied, the shredded paper doesn't come out and litter your neighborhood. So things not to put in the organics cart, just as important as what to put in the organics cart. Of course, no plastic or glass or metal. Any coated papers, like I mentioned, coated cartons, coated paper cups, no styrofoam, things like rubber bands or labels off of fruit or vegetables, produce stickers, no plastic wrap or anything like that, or plastic bags. Those go in the garbage cart. Reuse them as much as you can, but if you're done with them, put them in the garbage cart. A lot of local retailers will take back single-use plastic bags or shrink wrap or clean film plastic for recycling. It can be recycled, made back into things like Trex, which is a plastic lumber, but it can't be put into like a mixed stream recycling like we have for everything in one recycling cart, because it just gets too dirty. But you can drop it off at many local retailers. Other things not to put in, things like pet waste, and any other household garbage. Grease is another thing we get a lot of questions on. Grease is not allowed in the organics cart. You can cool it in a plastic or a metal container, and then just once it's solidified, just put it in the garbage cart after you've reused it and are done with it. Don't pour it down the drain. Please put it in the garbage cart. Okay, some tips and tricks. When we first rolled out organics recycling, we had a lot of concern about, are there going to be smells or bad odors, or is it going to be icky kind of things? So we put together some tips and tricks to try to help folks. Remember, we're just moving, we're just putting it in a different cart. So you shouldn't have any problems that you weren't having. You shouldn't have them now. We offer this kitchen pail on the top for our curbside customers to help collect food scraps and food soil paper in your kitchen. You don't have to use this. You can use a plastic container, empty cottage cheese, container, anything that you already have just to collect the material is fine. But we do still have some of these if you're interested. The pails are available here at our office, and all of this information will be in an email that Nellie will be sending after today's webinar. But we do still have these available. One one per household, if you like to stop and pick one up. You can also use a compostable bag if you want to line the container. You don't have to. You can use a paper bag or a newspaper or no bag at all. You can just put your scraps in here and then empty them into your organics cart. If you do use a compostable bag, it must be BPI certified and it must meet the ASTM D6400 standard, which is required by our organics processors. And that information would be very clear on the bags that you purchase, on the packaging and on the bags themselves. It would have that information printed on them. Drain food scraps of any liquid, especially, during the hot weather, but anytime, just to help reduce odors. And a lot of folks freeze or refrigerate them, between maybe the day after your collection until your collection the next week. We encourage people to put your carts out, even if they're not full, just put them out every week to have them emptied. Baking soda helps to kind of cut down on the odors. You can line the cart with yard trimmings, leaves, grass clippings, or brown paper bags or newspaper, and then layer it with organics on top of that, and then another layer of leaves to kind of keep down the odors. You may want to rinse out the cart, just if it's kind of smelly, and then again put it out every week, even if it's not full. That just helps, take away anything that might become a problem during the week, especially during the hot summertime.
All right, and now to go over what materials are accepted in the recycling cart and also what materials are not accepted in the recycling cart. I just want to reiterate, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you could use our Q&A chat box to ask those questions, or you can wait until the end of the presentation to ask your questions. All right, so basically, we accept rigid and semi-rigid plastic bottles and containers, metal cans, glass bottles and jars, paper products, cardboard, and the recycling cart. All recyclables must be empty and dry. Lids and labels are okay, so you don't have to remove any labels or remove the lids off of bottles. And cardboard must be flattened, but you can leave tape on the cardboard. So some acceptable materials include newspapers, magazines, junk mail, paper egg cartons, cereal boxes with the plastic liners removed. Also empty and dry soup and vegetable cans, dog and cat food cans, soda cans, aerosol cans. And then we accept plastics marked 1 through 7 with the exception of styrofoam and other like film plastics like plastic bags, as Doug had already gone over. And yeah, we don't accept plastic bags. We also don't accept any coated paper or cartons. So milk cartons, orange juice cartons, we unfortunately just can't accept that in the recycling cart. They have a plastic coating on them that is just not recyclable by our vendors. And also no hazardous waste, so no batteries, no e-waste can we put in the recycling cart. And then also, as Doug mentioned, don't put shredded paper in the recycling cart. We received a couple of questions before the webinar on what materials are, too small to put in the recycling cart. And really, it's just that shredded paper is too small to put in the recycling cart, and it might become like a littering issue. So instead, with shredded paper, you can just put it in your organics cart in like a brown paper bag, or mix it in with the yard waste. And then to reiterate again, no bags in your recycling cart. You can use a bag to carry the recyclables to your cart, and then just take the bag and just put it directly in your garbage cart. All right, I'll pass it back over to Doug. And yeah, if you have a question and you're raising your hand for that reason, just use our Q&A chat box right now to ask your question, and I can answer it right now, or you can wait until the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Nellie. Yeah, and many of you may see some of our outreach on social media. I think those pieces that we just saw were from some of our social media outreach, talking about, what not to put in the cart. So we've talked about organics, we've talked about recycling, and now garbage. There should be not a whole lot left to go in the garbage cart. So let's take a look at the next slide. Again, this information, a lot of folks have cart stickers on their cart lids that have this information on them, and then our newer carts are hot stamped on the lids that include this information in English and also Spanish. But so garbage, what do we put in the garbage? Nellie mentioned the paperboard cartons, things like paper milk cartons or paper soup cartons, paper juice cartons. Any of those cartons go in the garbage. You can repurpose them, reuse them, but they're not recyclable just because they're made of several different layers of materials. There's a layer of paper, there's a layer of plastic, there's in some of the shelf stable cartons, there's a layer of aluminum, and they all do a fantastic job as to what they're designed to do, but they're just not recyclable. Other items for the garbage cart include any compostable plastics, things like, utensils, plastic compostable utensils, plastic bags, any like single-use plastic bags, plastic servingware like plates or cups, and then compostable plastics. Just because our processors, again, these items just don't break down, so please put those in the garbage. Only the compostable bags that have that standard that I mentioned can go in the organics cart. Any tanglers, we call these tanglers hoses, cords, clothes hangers. Please put those in the garbage cart. Clothing, shoes, blankets, again, please, donate or reuse as much as possible. Anything to keep any of this material out of the landfill. The garbage cart is the last resort. But clothing, shoes, blankets don't go in the recycling cart unless they can be, like I say, donated or reused, or they go in the garbage cart. Pet waste, kitty litter, things like that, diapers, all go in the garbage cart. And then, items, again, equally as important, not to put in your garbage cart. Of course, no recycling, no organics, those have their own carts. No liquids. Nellie mentioned, I think, empty and clean, any recyclables, any items that you put in the recycling, just, no liquids. We don't accept liquids for disposal, so don't put liquids in the garbage cart. Electronic waste, TVs, things like that. You can drop those off at our facilities for no charge, or use a bulky waste pickup to have those taken away. No rocks, dirt, bricks, or sod. Again, those are items that we accept at our facilities. We don't pick them up at the curbside. Of course, no hot ashes. It's getting to be winter. There may be a lot of folks that have a fireplace that have ashes. So please, no hot ashes, coals, or fireworks. Those all need to be cooled thoroughly, containerized and cooled before you throw those away. And then, of course, no hazardous waste. Anything you see here, latex paint, oil, or water-based paint is fine as long as you just let it dry out to solidify. You can throw that in the garbage, but anything like batteries, fluorescent tubes, medications, propane tanks, syringes. Those all can be dropped off at our facilities. Um, there are 5 HHW drop-off locations in the Sacramento region that residents can use for no charge. Okay, let's, I think we have another slide, please. We get a lot of questions as to, hey, what happens to all this stuff that I put in my curbside cart? And Nellie put together this slide that kind of shows what happens. Organics are all sent to, we have 3 contracted organics processors. They all use an industrial composting process. So that's why they can accept things like meat and cheese and bones. Those are things that you wouldn't put in a backyard composting pile. But the organics or the industrial facilities grind all of that material, and then they put it up into windrows to make compost out of it. It's all done to the U.S. Composting Council standards, so it holds a certain temperature for I think it's 3 to 5 days to kill any pathogens. These are all things that typically a backyard composting pile just doesn't achieve, just because of the size and just because of the way the materials are put into it. That material is all built back into compost, and for the last 2 years we've had a seasonal loose compost pickup program for our curbside customers. This year our locations are over at Branch Center on Branch Center Road. I'm sorry, on Branch Center Road. And then we had a location up at Gibson Ranch. So we have loose compost so people can come and bring an empty curbside cart and shovel it, fill it up, just to use at your house for your landscaping projects, for your gardening projects, all in an effort to help rejuvenate the soil. That's a lot about what SB 1383 is about, to help rebuild soil. Recyclables, all the things that we pick up, we have currently two contracted recycling processors. Processors, collect or separate all of the material that we take to them, all the paper, cardboard, plastic containers, metal containers, glass bottles and jars. They take all that material and separate it so that they can bale like materials together, and then they market that material to places that will in turn make the material back into a new product. Recyclables are like commodities. They are they're driven by the market, supply and demand. Years ago, recyclables used to generate quite a bit or they generated revenue to help offset the cost of providing the service. But in recent years, they have not generated a revenue, so they become a cost. But the idea is to keep the material out of the landfill and to make it back into recycled content material. Garbage, household garbage, it is the last resort, so it goes to the landfill. Anything you put in your garbage cart goes to the landfill. We don't have anyone at the landfill that sorts through it. It just gets buried, and that's what a landfill does. So it doesn't have a life after you put it in the garbage. So if you put recyclables, if you put aluminum cans or glass jars or things like that in your garbage, it gets landfilled and it doesn't get recycled. Same if you were to bag your recyclables, they get pulled off and treated like garbage. So it's very important to put your recyclables loose in your recycling cart. Okay. Household hazardous waste. I think we've talked already a little bit about this, but you can scan this QR code. That'll get you to the list of the drop-off locations that's on our website. Household hazardous waste includes these things that we've talked about. Automobile fluids. Antifreeze is one that we get a lot of questions on. Any other brake fluid, transmission fluid, batteries of any kind, auto batteries, batteries that you use around the house, any oil-based paints, paint thinners, cleaners, fertilizer, pesticides, um, electronic waste, home-generated needles and sharps, syringes, and then fluorescent tubes and bulbs. These are all considered hazardous um, and need to be treated differently when disposed of. So these don't belong in any of your carts.
All right, I'll just mention that we do have a SacGreenTeam app. I'll include a link to information on how to download the app in my post-webinar email. But on the app, you can view your collection and street sweeping calendar. If you do have street sweeping, you can sign up for service reminders. You can play our Sort Smart game, and you can also use our How Do I Get Rid of tool. So just like a little search option where you can type in material, and it'll let you know, what cart it goes into and how it needs to be prepared. And with that said, I do want to move on. All right, everyone, it's 12:45. So unfortunately, we'll have to end the webinar. If you submitted a question ahead of time that didn't get answered during our presentation, I'll be sending out a document with everyone's questions and their answers after the webinar, either like later this afternoon or maybe Monday morning. So you'll get your answer there. And then if you have any additional questions, you can email them to sacgreenteam@saccounty.gov. So yeah, thanks again everyone for attending. I think this was a really great session.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us.